What's up, everybody? Billy Jitsu here. Doing a deep dive into Morpho today. For those that don't know me, I like to dive into DeFi applications, test them out. I actually use my own money. So my number one concern is getting wrecked, right? So I never want to get liquidated. I want to play it safe, but things happen. The market is always up and down, so you never know. So I definitely wanted to explain what Morpho is, how it's different from like Compound or Aves out there. Morpho lets you create your own borrow lending kind of application with a single asset. So like a single collateral, single asset. So you see here we have this like wrapped staked ETH. And you can borrow out USDC, right? Who gets to run that? That's the cool thing about Morpho is it can be ran by different people, individuals, DAOs, curators. Here you'll see that it's listed by multiple folks here. We have Gauntlet, we have Stakehouse, RE7, a lot of notable curators out there for risk analysis. So you're kind of putting your faith in them to get a good yield, right? So within these single collateral loan assets, you can deposit your assets, borrow USDC, leverage against something. Maybe you want a long, maybe you want a short. That's totally up to you and on your risk parameters, right? But that's cool that you yourself could create your own risk parameters, create your own vault, and then generate income. So I put money in myself, right? And I'm not going to go into like how to use Morpho. It's more about how to not get wrecked, right? So there are a few positions out here that I put myself in. And looking at this, I'm like, okay, I can't keep staring at my phone all day to watch the market. I need some kind of notification system that lets me know, hey, ETH is falling in value or wrap BTC is falling in value. Put some money in, pay back your loan, or clean up your position. Otherwise, you're going to get wrecked, like this person. So just like let's take a quick look at one of these. So this wrapped staked ETH into USDC. And you'll see that the parameters, like you can supply the collateral, how much you want to borrow out depending on your collateral. Pretty straightforward, right? Has a lot of cool features of what the rate's going to be, how much is in there. Really good stuff that you can deep dive. I'm pretty sure they have tons of tutorials on Morpho directly of how to go. But my goal is once I deposit, how do I not get wrecked, right? And so let's go ahead and look at the code. And I'm going to minimize myself out here because you don't need to see my face more than you need to. We're going to go ahead and look at the code. There is a lot to cover, so I'm not going to code it live. I'm just going to do a review and explain what each part is piece by piece so you can understand it, right? The number one goal is to check our position, see what we're looking like if our collateral value is dropping down in value or if our interest rate and borrow in our depth is getting higher and higher. We're going to want to either repay the loan or add more collateral, right? But we want to get notified through Telegram for this example that, hey, our position is getting pretty dangerous. How close you want to go, how much you want to borrow is totally up to you and your level of degen, right? So let's go ahead and look at this really quick. I'm using Ether stack to read from the blockchain. I'm using .env to hold in some environmental files that we'll go through just in a little bit. And then I have this Telegram notification app that I'm just using it to just send messages to Telegram, right? Here we have the ABIs. I'm going to explain how I got each one. And then this generic tokens ABI one, I just want to see the decimals and the symbol of the collateral and the DEP token that I'm using, right? And so I have these RPCs that I'm going to use for my .env. By default, I'm just using the Morpho on base. You can choose the one that you have on Ethereum, depending with your own RPC. This Morpho address, which is the smart contract address of Morpho. If you look at the docs, I'm going to just bring that over. You'll see that I have that Morpho address on base, and I just have that hard coded in. If not, it's already filled in for you. Whose wallet address are you monitoring? Are you monitoring your own address, or you monitoring somebody else's to watch for liquidations? Totally up to you. Market ID is something that we will get after we deposit on there. I could not find a good way to get the market ID easily, so I had to deposit into a vault, and in the logs, I looked it up. Loan to value alert threshold. How low or how high do you want your alert to start constantly, saying, hey, we are going to get liquidated at one point, 80%, 86%. It really depends on what your liquidation threshold is, right? And then how often do I want to check it? I want to check every 5 minutes for mine. Every 5 minutes, just check. Am I good? Am I not good? If you want to do that, in longer intervals, you can. In shorter, you can. And then when's the next time I can notify you, right? I don't want to get spammed with a bunch of notifications back to back to back. If I didn't get it, I want to make sure that I get it in a decent amount of time. So just for an example, I'm using 6 minutes, but totally up to you. Here, I'm just using some variables that I'm going to be using I use a lot of different functions. So these are global variables that I know what the prices are of my collateral and my borrows. And then I'm just using these addresses to begin with. Just a quick run through, and I'll explain it a little bit later. Is building our object, right? We're having our provider. It's my RPC. I'm using base. If we look at the example.env, you can see that I have a bunch of examples for that. Morpho contract address. Basically everything that I displayed, plus some information for the token Telegram bot on here, and I'll cover that in just a little bit. So yeah, I have my provider, and I'm building my Morpho contract ABI. I pull the ABI information right from the Morpho contract, right on the Etherscan interface in the contract. In the code, I just went straight to the bottom and I grabbed the ABI. I've already done this for you. It's in the code right here, and I just copied and pasted it right into the contract ABIs. And that's pretty much what I did for all the ABIs out there. I just went to the address and grabbed the ABIs and did it directly. So that's how I did that. And then our provider. I create a class because I want to load it up, and I want to have this constructor to be able to just, set my initial values. Basically, when was the last time I alert? Reset it to 0. When do I want it to cool down is what I set, like 6 minutes, and then basically set everything up and running, and then pass my tokens and channel for my Telegram, which I'll explain a little bit later. So just hold on to that thought. Everything comes down to a few functions, right? I just want to monitor my position. And what do I need to monitor my position? I'm going to have to get my position details. I'm going to have to calculate my loan to value. I have to calculate my liquidation price, so then I know when to warn. And then just extra stuff here. I calculated the buffer percentage. How much percentage do I need to drop in order to be in danger zone? And then actually log the alert, send me a message, right? So let's go ahead and break that down piece by piece. So get position data, right? How does this work in Morpho, right? Number one thing is we need to find our market ID. So in our market ID, I have deposited something in the logs. I looked it up, and then I was able to see what it was. So if we look at this example here, I went into the logs after I did deposit it in my contract, and you'll see that the supply collateral function is the index topic ID, and it is the ID. And if we look at the topics, you'll see that this is the ID for this specific market ID. Each vault, each market has its own ID, right? So just to bring that back, each one of these markets has their own market ID. So if I deposit to this one, it would have its own unique ID. If I deposit it to this one, it would have its own unique ID, so on and so on, right? And then the same thing for the borrows as well. It would have its own unique market ID. So when I deposit, I just check the logs. If there's a better way to find this, let me know. I could not find an easier way to do that other than checking my deposits logs. So when we go that, we're going to see what our market ID is. It's going to give us a lot of information about that market, right? We're going to see like the loan to value, unliquidable loan to value parameters. What is the token that we are supplying for collateral? What is the token that we are reading? That we are using for depth. And then, what are the oracles that we're using? And that's a very important one for us to understand. So if we go into the contract, and then we go into the read contract. Let me bring that a little bit closer. We can see the ID to market parameters. And just to show you a little bit in detail, that market ID parameters, I'm going to go ahead and go into the MV. I have no private information here. This is all just stuff that I'm going to toss anyway. But I'm going to get that market ID. And I'm going to pop it right into the Etherscan Explorer just to show you what exactly you get back. You'll get all these details, what the loan token is, the collateral token, the oracle contract, which is very important to us, the interest rate model that we're using. Right now, Morpho only uses one interest rate model, so that's pretty much standard across the board. And the liquidation loan to value, which is, in this case, 86%, right? So we know that if I borrow more than 86% of my loan to value, I will get liquidated, right? So just a quick peek into the oracle. I'm going to look at the oracle, and I'm going to go ahead and look at what the contract has. So we're going to read that. And you can see that once these things are deployed, they are immutable, right? So the base feed would be this oracle address, and then this base feed, they didn't use any backup oracles, which is totally fine on there. And then the quote feed, right, is this oracle, right? So our collateral oracle and our dep oracle are the two oracles that we're using. Another thing that we want to pay attention to is the scale factor, right? What is the scale factor? For those that do any complicated math, right, we have our tokens at 18 decimals, our value usually at 18 decimals. But when we start dividing by certain things, like start getting into these really, really long numbers and complicated math, we lose numbers, right? And a lot of borrow lending platforms have been hacked because you missed it off by a few decimals. And when you're talking big dollars, it can be pretty catastrophic, right? So everybody scales up, right? So they scale up by 36. But this is not 36 zeros if you calculate it. So you can see that there is a little bit of math behind the scenes. I'll explain that in a little bit. And then it gives you this price thing, which is basically the asset divided by the loan token and at the scale of 136, right? So they're literally telling you that it's 1 to the 36, basically 18 over 18. Basically, they cancel each other out. And then you get this certain value based on the collateral token, the value of the collateral token, and the value of the debt token. I'll explain that a little bit more in details, but just wanted to throw that out there. So that's basically what I'm doing in the monitor, is basically saying, hey, okay, what's the market parameters? You give me this information. Okay, now that I have this information, I'm going to go ahead and get the collateral oracle and the borrow oracle, right? I want to know what values they are. And then I have to build the objects, right? And so I went to those oracles. I got the ABIs, right? They all follow the Chainlink v3 oracle interface for the most part. As a curator, you can choose your own oracles, right? So right now, by default, you can use Chainlink. You can use other ones, right? You can use, I think they have a couple redstones, and I saw another one for Chronicle. Why people aren't using API 3 oracles, I don't know, right? You're a curator. You trying to maximize your return on creating this vault. Why wouldn't you use API 3 with OEV built into it, right? Doesn't make sense. But hey, whichever. So here are the oracles that you have that I'm building on here. And then I'm just consoling log the market parameters, right? I want to say what my loan token is. Basically what we saw in the smart contract is exactly what I'm putting right here. So, that way you can see it. I want to get the token information. I want to know what the token's name is, how many decimals, right? USDC is 6 decimals, and Lido staked ETH is 18 decimals, right? So I want to make sure that I get all the information available for each one of those contracts. So I'm getting the object ready for the loan contract, so I can read the decimals and the symbol itself, right? I want to make this generic for every vault available. So I just kind of like shoot that out, and then I return that. Now that I know all those details, what's my position, right? Now you can call that same Morpho contract, call a position. We know the market ID. I know my wallet address or any address that we're watching, and we're going to get that position details, right? I left the console logs out, so because I don't want it to get too flooded on the console. So you can uncomment those out and then view that at any time. But I'm basically looking at what my borrow and collateral positions are. And one thing to keynote is this keyword of shares. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Keyword of shares is because you're maybe used to the way Aave or Compound does stuff where they give you like debt tokens. They don't do that in Morpho. They use something like shares. So they're basically using a mapping to keep your position versus tradable tokens. So shares does not equal how many tokens you have or whatnot. So like if I put 10 shares, does not mean it's $10 or 10 tokens, right? So that gets calculated with a bit of math, and that kind of threw me to the side a little bit because it's not something I'm used to. But we need to get the market data, right? So we need to know, we calculate our part of the shares based on the total amount of shares that there are in existence, right? So with our market ID, we're going to look up the market data, and we're going to see all the total borrowed assets and all the total borrowed shares, and then we do some maths. Right. And so I'm just, killed the console log because I don't need to see this. We need to use some conversion, right? The borrow shares, borrowed assets using the shared math libs logic that's in Morpho, right? So going into that shared libraries and going back to that initial smart contract, and this is why I kind of like sidewinded to it. Remember this, crazy scale factor. It was like 42. And then there's like 1,836. So then you have this balance of 10 to the 6 on there. Well, guess what, right? We have this virtual share that's like 10 to the 6. Oh, sorry, 1 to the 6. And this virtual asset. So if we go into the code itself, the smart contract of the shares math library, you'll see that we have internally, when it's doing the math and it's doing all these conversions from shares up to shares down, you see that it's basically hard-coded 1e to the 6, and virtual assets is 1. That's why these magic numbers come out of nowhere. I'm literally pulling them off the shared math library location and going based. It all adds up when we oops, wrong one. It all adds up when we, look at the scale factor and then the price thing on here. So that it all makes sense, right? So if you were stuck on that, you're welcome on there. And then so basically I'm using these strings and using BigInt for JavaScript on here to make sure that I don't lose anything. And then I just do some maths, right? A times b plus the denominator, their formula. I didn't make this formula up. It's literally telling me how to calculate what my borrow position is, right? And so I just do some math. And again, I commented all this out, but you can look at it to see the exact math, how it all breaks down. Now I need to know what my value of each oracle is saying, right? Now that I know my collateral position, now that I know how many tokens I have for my debt position, what is the value of each one? And so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I read the collateral value and making sure I read the decimals correctly, right? Not every oracle is 18 decimals. Some are 8 decimals, some are different, right? Some go even weird as 23. I need to have that calculation, so I'm getting the value of whatever the token value is and the decimals, all right? I'm doing that for both my debt and my collateral token. And again, I console that out if you want to see it raw. I want to make sure that everything is on the up and up. So I want to make sure I format it depending on the decimals. So I make sure that the decimal is good. So I have a formatted collateral and a formatted borrow value. And I console that out so you guys can see it. And then finally, I'm looking at the actual market oracle price, bringing that oracle price again, referencing this location right here. I'll make this a little bit bigger. So what is this price? That doesn't look like anything I have. But that's because it's already doing some math of one collateral token versus one loan token, right? So I want to make sure that for me, that the values that the oracles are saying is matching up to what the market price is saying. So I'm just doing a little bit of the maths as a safe check to make sure, is what I'm getting in the smart contract what the calculation price is, right? So I'm just doing a little bit of math and making sure that my oracle values is matching up to the same oracle scale price. And it does, right? And then the loan to value or the liquidation loan to value, make sure that I have that all set, right? Because that's the most important thing to me. What value of my borrow collateral ratio will I get wrecked, right? And this is the most important number, our LLTV, right? And then we're just going to return all those values back and we can use that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and calculate my loan to value, which is basically, my borrowed amount times my borrow price, right? How many tokens did I borrow? What is the value of it? And divided by how much I put up for my collateral and what is the value, right? Pretty simple math, nothing too crazy. And I just return that value out. And then I need to calculate my liquidation price, which is I got right from the Morpho docs, is our borrow amount and our borrow price value, right? Times our liquidation loan to value divided by how much we put up as our collateral, right? So that's a pretty much cookie cutter formula to make sure that we know that this is the value or price that I'm going to get liquidated at. And then some percentage buffering, right? Like just making sure that like if the price drops 20%, I'm on risk. I just want to see the percentage on there. So nothing special here. And then the log alert. We want to make sure that we log this out, right? It's great to have it here in a console log, but I need this to work for me in real life, right? So I need some kind of messaging system. So I'm just going to go ahead and build this message up, and I'm using this for Telegram, which I'm importing it in. And I'm just saying, hey, if you alerted me right now, wait a little bit till you alert me again because I got that notification. I don't want to get spammed, right? So if we look at the monitor position, we can see that it's just a quick console log, basically saying, hey, we're logging this wallet address. This is the LTV that we're looking out for. This is what we're warning. And then we're checking every so often, every 5 minutes or whatever seconds, right? And so you see that I'm getting the position data. I want to get all that information about my position. I'm going to console log that out. What's my current loan to value? What's my liquidation price? And how much range do I have before I get liquidated? And then, just throw me my values, right? And just shoot them all out and give me that information, right? If, this is the big if my current loan to value is greater than what I want a warning on, shoot me a message. Hook a brother up, right? Let me know what this is. So the liquidation alert, I'm going to get this message on my Telegram, like I showed you before. It's like, hey, this is what your loan to value is. This is the threshold. You better do something, otherwise you're going to get wrecked if the market keeps dropping, or if I'm shorting them, the market keeps pumping, right? And so it'll log alert, and you'll see that it's basically pulling in that Telegram thing. So let's just pop over to the Telegram thing really quick, and it's nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. I just created an object for Telegram notifier. And anybody that has done a Telegram bot before, it's pretty much cookie cutter for the most part. It uses the same link for our bot, right? And it just you have to generate a token with botfather on Telegram, and we want to send a message. That message I did in the front. Just let me scroll it down all the way back down again. Just throw this message out. Hey, this is the message we want to send out. So here is the message. And it requires a little bit of header. So it's a post, and basically I'm stringifying it. So it's for formatting so it looks good in Telegram, right? And that's pretty much it. We just do a request, and if it is success, we just return it. If not, we get an error, and then that's pretty much it for Telegram. You just send this notification instead of just watching it on my console. It'll actually get it on my phone. So let's go ahead and turn it on, or actually, let's go ahead and go to the .env. We're getting a little bit more details here. The Morpho contract address is the address I got from the docs. The wallet address is just this wallet that I saw that had a position. I don't want to give you my wallet, so hey. Market ID is what I got from depositing on that specific vault. Liquidation threshold, where do I want to get a notification at? If I'm borrowed at 60%, 50%. For our case, I think that position was at 40%. So I'm just going to say at 40%, I want to get a notification saying, hey, you're getting too high. Notify me, right? And then how often do I want? 5 minutes, check every 5 minutes. If you warn me, wait another 6 minutes to warn me. Telegram bots. Where do we get this information? We get that from our Telegram bot. So we open up Telegram and we're going to check out the bot father. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this over just slightly here, and you can see my token. Oops. You can see my tokens here. I'm going to go ahead and burn that and just give it a random name. But you see that if you create a new bot, or if you go /new, and I'm going to burn these, so don't worry about it. So new bot, you're going to go ahead and give it a name, and test Billy Jitsu, something crazy out there. And it must end in bot. So let me go ahead and do bot. Oh, maybe you didn't like it. Test, please work bot. There we go. So it was too long. So here we go. We have this bot right here, and it gives me this API code. That's exactly what I did. I copied and pasted that right into here, right? Channel ID. When I invite this to a channel, I'm going to go ahead and just create a new channel. Can I do this without doxing all my Telegram chats? Give me just a second. So I've created this new chat here called test. So I'm going to add in this bot. And I'm just going to add this to the group. So I'm going to go ahead and add a member and say, hey, please work bot. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And add. And cool. So now we are in this Telegram channel. Now we need to know what the channel ID is. And you'll see that I noticed that I have this Telegram channel ID bot in the .env. You can go to the web version if you want, or you can bring in get IDs bot on here and pop that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just add get IDs bot. So let me go ahead and add them in there. And this is going to basically let me know what the channel ID is. And you'll see right here. There we go. And I can see that my ID is this ID right here. So I'm going to copy that and then put that in my .env. And paste that in there. Oops, and get rid of that extra one. So pretty straightforward on there. Let me make sure that I have my bot father key on here. And I have this old key. So let me just replace that with the new bot. Again, these are all tokens that I'm just going to burn. And so let me put my bot in position here. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and, can I kill these? I guess I can't. And let's go ahead and yarn start it. So I'm going to go ahead and yarn start. It's going to look at my position, grab everything we need, and let us know what's up. Yarn start. And there we go. If I got a notification, there it is. My liquidation risk alert saying, hey, this is my current loan to value. This is my LTV threshold. Remember, I did it at 40%. So, we're pretty safe. Buffer remaining 45%. So if the asset fell 45%, I'm in serious danger. Current price of what it is, my liquidation price. This is my borrowed amount in, I think it was Sky USDS and Wrap Lido ETH, right? So basically it's letting me know, hey, you hit your threshold. You're going to be liquidated because you are not in the safe zone according to your specs. Go ahead and do something, right? So let's just go ahead and look at the console log. This is running at all times here. So I have my yarn start. It's basically starting our position with our wallet address, right? We set it to say, hey, give me an alert at 40%. We passed 40%, so it meet the requirement. It's checking every 300 seconds. And again, these were the market parameters, right? This is the loan token, collateral, the oracle that we all looked at the smart contract for, our interest rate model, which is pretty standard. I'm not getting into that because this video is already getting kind of long. And our loan to value, liquidation point is 86%, right? And then looking at what the value is, my collateral value based on my formatted oracles is $2,254, and my borrow value is $1.04, right? So cool. Based on my own math, I wanted to see is if the market price for the smart contract matched my calculated price, which is pretty much on the bar. The difference handles a little bit different because of this little, scaling issue, but it's in good shape. And then it's just going to give us an update, right? What is our collateral amount? What is our borrow amount? What is my current LTV? And what buffer and current price and liquidation price, right? And this will stand in the console every time, every few minutes. But if we do get a liquidation alert, we want to make sure that we send this up and running and say, hey, send it to Telegram. These are the details. Do what you got to do, and you'll be good, right? And this is what keeps me from getting wrecked, right? But I don't run this at home. I'll run this on like a backend service. I'm kind of using some, AWS or Google Cloud or DigitalOcean. But I would love to do the tutorial on how to do it on like one of our Web3 friendly, providers. And then, you could also make a bot saying, hey, if it hits this threshold and you send this Telegram group, have a bot repay it or have an AI agent repay it, right? So lots of things that you can do with this, but wanted to, show you how cool Morpho was, what you can do with it and how to save yourself from getting wrecked. And then also vault providers, if you're looking for extra revenue, API 3 oracles can get you that extra juice. Anyways, thanks for checking it out. You can check out the repo on this code below, and good luck.